in Ghana, the main roads were tarred, but with the blacktop, but they didn't have many of these roads. So if you were going to Accra to catch your airplane out of the country, you had to start very early, even the day before. And I remember once I was driving down to Accra Airport to catch a flight. Thanks be to God, it was the next day. And then I saw the taxis and the lorries all lined up. Nothing was moving. So I got out of my Volkswagen that I had at the time, went down, and I saw a big tree, odum tree, right across the road. And I said to myself, my goodness, will I ever get to Accra? So I said, maybe I'll have to go all the way around to another road. But one of the lorry drivers said, no, Father, just wait, we're working on it, we're working on it. But I didn't see any heavy equipment. And then all taxi drivers and all lorry drivers in Ghana carry a cutlass, a sharp cutlass, just for this occasion. So they all came out and they started hacking away just a little bit of distance where one car can go this way, and then a truck can come this way, one car this way, truck this way. So eventually, after about 1 hour, the road was open. You can always get through these difficulties with little prayer and with the assistance of the local people, the taxi drivers, the lorry drivers, and these other people with their cutlasses. In Ghana is a developing country, and so very often you had to adjust to the situation. And sometimes you didn't have spare parts that you needed for your car to go. So I remember I was up in the hills, the Kwahu Hills, and my radiator began leaking, and I brought it to a fitter that we call a mechanic, and he looked at it and he says, Father, your cap, the radiator cap is gone, and you have some holes in the radiator. So I says, can you do something? Oh yes, he said. So he got some corn cobs and he started putting these corn cobs into the radiator to fill up the holes. And then I said, well, what about the radiator cap? Do you have one? No, he says, I tell you what, there is a pharmacy across the street. Go over there and ask the gentleman for some condoms. Because you can put two condoms together and put them on top of the radiator. And I was shocked. But I said, okay. So I went over there and bought the condoms, and of course I was dressed in my white cassock as a Catholic priest, so I don't know what they were thinking, but I needed those condoms. So I went back, put them on top of the car, radiator, and I drove down the hill, and fortunately I was able to get a new radiator cap when I got into a larger city down below. So sometimes you have to adjust. Okay, every Sunday we have a Sunday service, usually at Mass and so forth. And the women in Ghana tend to dress very nicely with their cover cloth and the head covering, which they call in the local language duku, D-U-K-U, duku. So I was very amazed that although there might be 100 or 150 women in the church praying on their side of the church, each lady was wearing a different duku. And I'm saying to myself, how can one lady know that the other lady isn't going to have the same duku? But they don't. They cut the cocoa pods from the trees, and then they have to spread the cocoa out, and it has to dry under the sun. But it has a very strong scent, and you could be driving your car with the windows open, and the scent from the drying cocoa is very, very strong. And when it's in season, it's very cheap. But when the season is over, the price goes up. So I very often, when there's plenty of this chocolate, I would buy a box, and then as I'm going up country, I'll be eating some of the chocolate. It was very tasty, very nice. This is a kente stole, kente spelled K-E-N-T-E. It's worn by the priest at Mass and other religious functions. And there's an order of African sisters over there in Ghana that called the Handmaids of Divine Redeemer, HDR, and this was founded by one of our SVD priests a long time ago. He's a bishop now, and I think he's deceased. It's a very popular song which everybody knows, to give thanks to God. And it goes this way. Aseda neni munyame, Aseda neni munyame, Aseda neni munyame, neni munyame, neni munyame, Aseda neni munyame, neni munyame, neni munyame. We praise and thank you, O God. We praise and thank you, O God. We praise and thank you, O God. We praise and thank you, O God.